You know that feeling, right? When you say yes out loud, but every part of you is screaming no? We've all been there. Today, we're diving into how to set boundaries. It is, seriously, the key to shifting from that constant stress of people-pleasing to finding some real, genuine peace. And we're going to break down exactly how you can start doing it. So let's just get right to it, the big question. You know you should set them, you've read about it, you've thought about it, but then you try, and you're just hit with this overwhelming wave of guilt, maybe even fear. Why on earth does something so good for us feel so wrong?
Okay, and this is probably the most important thing you'll hear today. That feeling? It's not a character flaw. It's not you being weak or too nice. It's actually how your brain is wired. It's old, deep-seated programming, and you're basically working against your own default settings.
To really get a handle on this, we need to talk about how our brains work. Think of it like this. Your brain has two basic modes of operation. And understanding the difference between these two is everything when it comes to figuring out the why behind this struggle.
The big idea here is something the source material calls thinking beyond your mental capacity. Now, I know that sounds a little academic, but all it really means is making a conscious choice to shift. A shift away from those automatic, knee-jerk, survival-based reactions and into a more thoughtful, regulated way of making decisions.
This lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got that survival-based thinking. That's our brain on autopilot, right? It's driven by fear, it's super impulsive, and it's just reacting based on old habits. But over on the right, that's our goal, conscious, regulated thinking. This is where we learn to pause, get a handle on our emotions, and make choices on purpose, which is what leads to those healthier boundaries.
Do any of these look a little familiar? I mean, that instant reaction when someone pushes your buttons? Or that deep-seated need to just keep everyone happy to avoid any awkwardness? Or how about this one? Feeling like you have to write a whole essay to justify why you're saying no? These are all classic signs of that survival brain taking over.
All right, so we've talked about the why. It's our brain's wiring. Now for the good stuff, the how. Let's get really practical. Think of this next part as a script, a cheat sheet of simple, powerful phrases you can use to communicate your boundaries clearly and without all the drama.
We're starting with the most famous one, and for good reason. No. That's it, just no. We are so trained to think that no needs to be followed by a 5-point explanation and a sincere apology. It doesn't. This is your reminder that your no is enough all by itself.
Oh, this is such a good one. It's polite, it's firm, and best of all, it doesn't leave room for negotiation. You're communicating your capacity at this moment without having to make up excuses. It's not a no never, it's just a no, not right now. This phrase is an absolute game changer. Why? Because it directly fights that survival brain impulse to give an answer immediately. This simple sentence buys you the most valuable thing you can have, time. It lets you step out of that reactive, fear-based moment and into a calm space where you can figure out what you really want. You know, that people-pleasing habit can make you feel trapped by your own yes. This phrase is like your official permission slip to be a human being. Things change, your energy changes, your priorities change, and it is absolutely okay to go back and change your mind. And this is so important to understand. So many of us think that being firm means we're being mean or harsh. They are not the same thing at all. You can set a boundary with respect, with warmth, with kindness, and still hold that boundary firmly. This isn't about putting up giant walls. It's about building a healthy fence. Okay, so you've got your phrases, you're feeling ready, and then you try it, and it just feels awful, awkward, uncomfortable. This is the moment most of us give up. But we need to talk about this feeling, because it's actually the most important part of this whole process. I want you to really let this sink in. That feeling of discomfort, that squirmy, guilty feeling you get, it does not mean you did something wrong. It doesn't mean you made a mistake. In fact, it's a sign that you're doing something right. So, what is going on in your body? Well, your nervous system is basically freaking out a little. It's sending up flares saying, "Whoa, this is new. This isn't our usual people-pleasing routine." It's confusing growth with danger. But that feeling isn't a threat. It is literally the feeling of growth happening. And here is the mantra you need to hold on to when you're in that moment. The awkwardness of setting that boundary, it's gonna pass. It might last for a few minutes, maybe an hour, but the clarity, the self-respect, the inner peace that comes from it, that's the part that sticks around. Which brings us to what this is all really about.
This whole journey isn't just about getting better at saying no. It's about choosing a fundamentally different way to live. It's about choosing long-term peace over the short-term temporary relief you get from just giving in.
So how do you actually do this? Here's your roadmap. 1. Just practice pausing. Don't answer right away. 2. Notice what you're feeling. Is it guilt, fear? Just name it, no judgment. 3. Start small. Set tiny, low-stakes boundaries. 4. When that uncomfortable feeling shows up, just sit with it. Don't try to fix it. And 5, with every choice, ask yourself, am I picking temporary relief or am I picking long-term peace?
And you want to know the coolest part? Every single time you do any of those steps, you are physically rewiring your brain. You are literally strengthening your prefrontal cortex. That's the part responsible for all that conscious, regulated thinking we talked about. You are building the muscle for emotional regulation.
And let's be really clear here. The goal of setting boundaries isn't to push people away. It's the exact opposite. Clear, healthy communication is how you build relationships that actually last, relationships that feel safe and sustainable. The right people will respect your boundaries, and those are the connections that will get even stronger.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. I'm not talking about some huge, life-changing boundary, just one small one. What is one tiny, manageable boundary you can practice setting this week? Because that small step, that's where everything begins.